Howdy, I'm John. I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about planting seeds, vegetable seeds, but a little bit more than that. It's about how to have a seed starting mix, how to make your own, out of your own soil mix. Now, this is a mix from a container that I just had some potatoes in. I made a video about taking the potatoes out. And this is a really good potting mix I put together myself a few years ago. You can keep on using the same mix over and over and over again. Just keep the biology on it good and keep adding new compost anytime you run some more plants through. Add a little more peat moss now and then. Keep it moist even if you're not growing anything. Keep new things growing even every time you take something out. That's how a living soil works, but it's also going to be full of a lot of bugs. You got microbes, you got bacterias, fungus, all kinds of stuff, including some things that will eat a young tiny seedling, because that's when they're most tender. They don't have their mom and dad there to take care of them. You got to take care of them. You got to put them in a nursery. You got to make a super sterile mix that's still going to have nutrients for when they start growing. But you don't need to worry about nutrients in their first week or so. The seeds have everything they need to grow. All you need to do is give them a good, stable beginning. So what I do is I take my seed mix, my regular potting mix here, and I put it in a Ziploc bag. I'm going to leave it in the sun for like a week or two, and this is in the desert, so it's going to get really super hot. And the bag can take 3, 4, 5 of these cycles. You just put the soil in it and fold it over once it won't close anymore and leave it in the sun for about 2 weeks. Now, what that's going to do is kill all the bacteria, all the good stuff, but it'll also kill everything that's bad. And you see this soil mix has everything from the last plants. I mean, there's roots and everything in there. It's a really good biologically active mix, but we can't have that with these seedlings. The seedlings will get killed by something in this mix. A fair percentage anyways. So we toss the new bag down and we pick up the old bag because we're going to be potting up with that today. And it's real nice because it's nice and warm and everything like that. So first off, we take our pot. It's good to have it all sterile, but I just take one that I picked up that was laying around. It's probably sterilized by the sun pretty well. All of your seeds have to be kept in the perfect environment though. They should be in some sort of a mason jar or other really airtight container, preferably with a desiccant pack in there. And you keep those things in there, keep them in a dark place, in a dark container, so that the sun won't affect them or anything like that, because the sun will sterilize the heck out of everything. That's why we also use a mulch. That'll keep your soil nice and soft. So go ahead, before you go handling any soil and get wet fingers, you put all these seeds away. You don't want to mix any bacteria from anything into there. They need to be kind of kept in a sterile environment. And then I'm going to pick out the 3 seeds that I'm going to actually plant in this pot. And I'm going to set them off to the side and then put that container of seeds, that seed pack, back in with the rest, because I don't want to be handling it when I've got moisture from that soil on my fingers. You got to keep moisture from those seeds, and then they'll last for 6-7 years, maybe, if they're in proper condition. Now, right now, since it's high summer and it's 85 degrees, 32 C every day, I can go ahead and plant these direct as long as I keep the container really nice and moist. But if it's a little bit early in the season, you're going to get a little bit more success if you pre-sprout your seeds. And pre-sprouting is, I mean, it's like the same thing that's going to happen in this here batch of seed mix. The seeds are going to be in a nice warm spot with the perfect, how did rock get in that mix? With a perfect amount of moisture and heat and everything like that. But in early springtime, you don't have that outdoors because these are going to just be outside. And I like to use mycorrhizal inoculant. It's a type of fungus that's going to work in a symbiotic relationship with the seeds as they start to grow roots. Here's how you pre-sprout. You just go ahead and set your seeds on a wet tissue paper. I like to use a wet hand towel. And then you set it in a warm space like behind the computer for a few days in the house. And if you leave it for a week or 10 days, you get something like this. And if you're going to try to save this, these are winter squash, for instance. You have to get that paper towel super wet. In fact, I wound up just putting in a little container of water and let it sit for an hour. And then I was able to get them apart. But only a few of them live. The ones that are all long and everything like that, they just never lived. And I think the best bet would have been just to plant the whole batch and let 2 of them out of the batch live. The rest I could just bury under the soil as I'm filling the soil in. Stay tuned to the end of the video. You'll get to see those ones. Now, if you're going to try to do this, you do it very carefully. You try not to tear a lot of roots. Tear the paper apart and take the roots with it rather than trying to tear the roots from the paper. But generally, if they're this far advanced, plant the whole batch and hope that one lives. These 2 long ones did not make it. The rest did. So now we're back to our little seed with these seeds that have not been pre-sprouted. You can lick your finger and pick them up from the tabletop. They say seeds should go like twice as deep as they are tall, but do you measure from the wide end or the narrow end? Some people like to have the flat part sideways, others want it up so water perks off. Who knows? I don't think it makes a lot of difference as long as your seed mix is nice and soft. Make sure you mark it. I'm using markers I make from a window slat that started breaking apart after 20 years. So we get a few new ones every year to make lots of labels. It's easy to forget what you planted. Label them. Now you don't water from the top, you water from the bottom. You set in warmish water, let that water pull up. Here's where I have my little plant nursery. I mulch these and then I'm gonna let them spend hours soaking that water up. After a week or so of being out of the ground, they'll look about like this. And after 10 days, 2 weeks, they'll have a few more leaves. Once they got another couple leaves, these are going into the garden. They're in a nice spot right now where they get a good amount of sun. They're protected at night. 2 weeks after they're in the ground, they should look a little like this. Mulch them if you can. Now these happen to be squashes, winter squashes, things like that. Each plant's going to be different. You have to know the growth characteristics. Look how huge these things will get, and they have to get enough water too. Click subscribe to this here channel. Keep up with all these things. These are those winter squashes that we rescued by ripping them apart. Well, thank you much, folks. Have yourself a good day. We'll see you around now. Bye.